This is it. One more video left. One more. Last one. I make no promises though. But last set of notes, and then anatomy and physiology is over. You just have some work and a project, test questions, but this is the last time you are going to see my wonderful face and hear my wonderful voice. So let's do this. Let's talk about the development of an embryo. Last time we talked about what happens if the egg does not get fertilized. Right now we're going to talk about what happens if the egg does get fertilized. Fertilization is what we call it when the sperm enters the egg and they share DNA to become one full strand of DNA, right? This takes place typically in the fallopian tubes. So just after ovulation, but before the egg implants itself in the uterus, the best, most likely place and time for you to get pregnant is in that luteal phase when you are still in, egg is still in the fallopian tube. And the sperm will dig their way through the follicular cells. If you look here, again, this is surrounded, remember the egg was inside the follicle, inside the ovary. Well, some of those follicular cells, that's what we call egg cells from the follicle, are still surrounding the egg. And the sperm need to get through that. So it's gonna be a team effort. This is why men care about quantity more than quality, because one sperm was not gonna get through there. So zooming in, it is going to be a team effort to dig their way through that and wear it down. So it is actually not the first sperm to fertilize the egg. The first one actually gets worn out and dies before that ever happens. And then more sperm are going to go to wherever the first exposed area is, and it's going to start releasing an enzyme. That enzyme is going to open a path through what we call the zona pellucida. Almost mispronounced that. Zona pellucida. Right? This thick lining on the outside of the egg, shown in pink here, right? Sperm cannot dig through that. They're not strong enough. They need to release enzymes that are going to weaken it. So it is a chemical process. And it takes about several hundred sperm to produce enough enzymes to really dig their way through that. So it is like, I don't know, you were the result of the 800th, 900th, 1000th sperm. Who knows, right? But only one is going to be able to make it all the way through. And once that happens, that zona pellucida is going to shut down. It is going to go through a chemical reaction. The whole thing just changes up, and no other sperm is going to be able to get in. So to answer the question of what happens when two sperm get in, it won't. It can't. Only one gets in. That's it. But mister, I hear you asking, two sperm means twins, so it does happen. False. Two sperm does not equal twins. All right? One sperm, one egg, that's it. Twins happen in a different way. And we've talked about that before in class, but if you're curious, get a hold of me. I want to move on with this. All right, the sperm's nucleus, as we talked about last time, has 23 chromosomes. How many chromosomes are we supposed to have in our bodies? That's right, you remembered well, 46 chromosomes. The sperm only has 23, that's half. The egg also has 23, there's your other half. So when we get these two together, we are going to have 46 chromosomes, and we're going to call that a zygote. That animation you just witnessed is the nucleus of this sperm leaving and meeting up with the nucleus of this egg. And that is where the 23 chromosomes from the sperm meet up with the 23 chromosomes of the egg and become the zygote. All right. At this point, this baby, not quite a baby yet, and this embryo is going to start developing. And it starts about 24 hours after fertilization. Right? It takes about a day before any of this really starts to kick off. The cell splits into eventually 16 cells. Right? What you see in this picture right now is just a 2-cell embryo. This is what we call a stage 2 embryo. And stage 2 will last until about 16 cells. So what you're witnessing is mitosis happening not meiosis. Last time we talked about meiosis. Meiosis was making sperm and eggs. Mitosis is making a person. All right, so back again. Stage 1 was 1 cell. Stage 2 becomes 2 cells. Stage 2 stays this way for a while until you get 16 cells. These little cells are called blastomeres. 3 days after fertilization, this cluster is now going to be called a morula. Yeah, these are some fancy words. Make sure you know them. I did not make your test questions yet. Chances are they'll appear. So if they're underlined or big words hard to remember, chances are they might be important. There's your hint. All right. It then leaves the fallopian tubes as the morula and enters the uterus. So we are talking a whole bunch of cells, all with exactly identical DNA, but it is not a baby yet. It has not developed body parts yet. They're just cells. So zooming around. So here is that two-dimensional uterus again. And the morula, the fertilized egg that has undergone mitosis multiple times, is going to travel out of the fallopian tube and into the uterus, where it digs into the lining and starts developing. The morula floats in the uterus for about 3 days, and in this time becomes hollow and is called a blastocyst. Not to be confused with blastocyte. You may have heard me say that in the past. That's one cell. A blastocyst is a bunch of cells. This early blastocyst is developing into something that can further develop eventually into a baby. This blastocyst implants itself into the uterine lining for protection and nutrition. Right? That lining is full of soft warmth, but also has nutrients. A hormone that the mother's body is going to create called HCG stops the menstrual cycle altogether. So ladies, you will not make any more eggs through the next 9 months, assuming that this is a good pregnancy, a healthy pregnancy. All right. And it's going to stop the menstrual cycle and tells the mother's body to provide estrogen and progesterone for the healthy uterine lining. Right? The estrogen created the uterine lining, so we're going to keep developing that. Progesterone is going to keep it fresh, keep it from going bad. So estrogen builds and progesterone is going to preserve. Remember, estrogen helped you get pregnant by making all this stuff. Progesterone helps you be pregnant by keeping it all safe. So here you see what is now the embryo embedding itself into the uterine lining. And this is a real picture, by the way. This is real uterine lining. This is built inward and is not going to move. It is like jammed in there. Now we're going to do what we call the embryonic stage. Right? I didn't mean to hit that button. But before that was called implantation. Now it's called the embryonic stage. After 2 weeks after fertilization, it's going to last them for about 8 weeks after fertilization. So that's about 6 weeks of this stage. This thing is now called a gastrula, and it is preparing to grow organs. And this is where things get really interesting, guys. This is where it starts looking like a person. Up until now, it just looked like a clump of cells. It will now start developing things. Individual cells that make up that clump are going to start getting structure, start getting form, and start becoming things. The amniotic sac forms around this gastrula, right? This bag of amniotic fluid. All right. If you ever hear a pregnant woman say in TV, "Oh no, my water broke," it means like the baby's coming. Right? This is the water. The break is actually that the bag broke, like a water balloon, and that all the amniotic fluid, I said it wrong. The amniotic fluid that protects this baby comes rushing out. The umbilical cord is a cord that goes into the baby's belly and provides that embryo with nutrients and oxygen and gets rid of waste. It is a connection between the embryo and the mother. So the mother eats nutrients, the mother eats food, she breathes air, and she gives it all to the baby. And by the way, no, this does not connect directly to mom. All right. It connects directly to something called a placenta. A placenta is a big bag of blood and nutrients that mom provides nutrients to, and then the baby gets it from the placenta. So it's kind of a in between. Now the fetal stage. After about 8 weeks, we can officially call this thing a fetus instead of an embryo. After 8 weeks, about 8 weeks after fertilization and until birth. This is a time of rapid growth and weight gain. Guys, this thing is going from itty bitty teeny tiny. We're talking like you need a magnifying glass to see, or maybe even a microscope to see any details, to the size of a baby. So rapid growth. No, this is not comfortable for mom. A lot of hormones are involved. She's feeling sick, but it is a very important stage. Those structures that the embryo formed, those human-looking structures, start maturing, developing fully. Cartilage becomes bone, skin becomes thicker, eyes are developing, everything becomes important. Right? And that is it for now. Right? I didn't want to bombard you with way too many things. I think I already gave you enough big words as it is. But there is a lot more to it, and we will see that in an upcoming project. Actually, starting today. This project, I will go over with you the rules in a different video. So look for that in Google Classroom. Good luck.